Joining us now is the executive director of the College Football Playoff. He is Rich Clark from Big 12 Media Days at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Rich, welcome to BYU Sports Nation.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Now, you just told us offline you're a Raiders fan.
I am. I grew up in Oakland, Oakland proper, California. So
a true Raiders fan.
I am die hard. Every time they move, I stick with them.
Okay,
I don't go away.
Now they're in Vegas, so this has to carry some significant meaning for you to be in this stadium.
Totally. I love it.
So what's it like? You see all the Raiders colors. You've got the logo at center field, or right at midfield. Not
Couldn't
too
be
bad,
better.
right?
Couldn't be better. The only thing better than the Raiders is college football.
Hey, and listen, you're in it. The playoff is expanding from 4 to 12.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've been asked the following question approximately 485,000 times today. But as far as expansion goes and the ideas that maybe there is a 14-team model, there's a 16-team model, where do we stand in that conversation?
Now, I've been asked it 485,001 times. But, so honestly, my thoughts on this, and I think for our whole team at CFP and really the commissioners, is we need to get this round of this playoff round right. It has to go without a hitch. We need to put our best foot forward and make it spectacular for the student athletes, the fans, the coaches, everybody involved, and then take a look and see, okay, what do we do to go to the next level? What could make this better? So there's a lot of thoughts and ideas out there, like you mentioned, and they are on the table, right? But we got to see how this round goes first, and then make some decisions after that.
So what does that look like? When you say we got to get this right, in your mind, what does getting it right look like?
Yeah, well, it all starts with the selection committee and how they respond, and they're very good. I have a lot of faith in the selection committee. I got to sit through 3 of the meetings last year. Total integrity, collegiality, but they tackled some hard issues, right? And they made some tough decisions.
Oh, particularly difficult last year.
Right. It was extraordinary to watch them in action. And so that's the first step. And then we get the brackets, right? And we need to do that in accordance with the protocols that we've already laid out and do that the right way. But then when these games happen, they need to be good, especially that first round. The campus games where, teams seeds 5 through 8 get to host those games. Those are home games. But they have to be great. And we, CFP, have to make sure that we're helping those home teams to make it spectacular so that the people that see them, they know that it's something special. Because it's going to be electric on those campuses. It's got to be electric to the fans, too. And they got to know that this means something.
It's such a unique challenge, and this is not something that your average college football fan probably thinks about, but just the calendar involved. Yeah. And you've got conference championship games, and now you're talking about, okay, if a team that gets into the playoff and they're one of those seeds from 5 to 12, they played a 13 game because of the conference championship game.
Right.
Now they're going to play 14th, 15th, and maybe 16th game.
Yeah.
So navigating that is interesting. And you got the NFL playoffs coming into the picture as well. You're kind of trying to work with them and around them. So how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. But we're going to navigate this. And I think the 12-team playoff is actually a pretty happy medium for us to start with, because you brought up a lot of things right there. An expanded season, a packed media schedule, a packed TV schedule with NFL, college games. It starts to be a lot, right? And so in my view, it's better to start off with something that we're pretty sure that we can do and that we can do in a good way, not overextend our student athletes and our coaches, not overpack the schedule, but do something that's spectacular for America. Do something that our fans are going to love and actually crown a true champion.
Man.
I think the 12-team playoff, we're in a very good spot. But you always have to look back, right? You can't ever rest on your laurels. And if it goes amazingly well, we can't stop. We got to take a look and go, okay, how do we get better? And what is that? So the kinds of things that you're talking about are things that we're going to have to look at after it's done. But right now, we think we kind of hit a pretty good place, happy medium, and it is going to be amazing. So I'm excited.
Well, in the expansion to 12 teams is part of the change I'm talking about, but there's been so much change in college athletics in general. As the executive director, what's the plan to try and keep up and keep ahead of all of the things that change, it seems like, on a daily basis?
Yeah, I ask myself that 485,000 times a day. So as the executive director of the College Football Playoff, I don't have a lot of decision-making in that landscape, with the House ruling, with the transfer portal, and all those things that we're talking about. However, I have to keep up with it because all of it affects the sport. All of it affects the decisions that our commissioners make. All of it affects how I present them, me and the CFP team. How do we present them the information that they need to make the best decisions? All of those things add pressures to our commissioners, our student athletes. We have to be attuned to the landscape, and it's evolving and changing, like by the minute it seems like sometimes. But we have to stay in touch because it all is a part of this enterprise, and we just have to keep our arms around it and keep moving forward to make sure that it doesn't derail us in any way. And the thing I like to tell people is you always have to be looking ahead. If you're not looking forward and thinking about it, then you get caught on your heels, and then bad things happen. So we have to stay in the know of what's going on and try to predict and think about what could happen. What are the possible futures?
Rich Clark is the executive director of the College Football Playoff. Small task. It's a small task to manage something that nobody cares about. I kid. Everybody cares about this in college sports. Just to clarify from a calendar standpoint, I'm looking at December. I believe that the college football conference championship games are scheduled for December 7th.
Right.
When do you have specifically targeted for the home site games and then the quarterfinals that would follow after that, followed by the Final Four?
Right. So we'll have 2 weeks from that December 7th game to the first round.
Okay.
And that gives our athletes a little time to get their legs up under them, to work on some of the injuries and things that have happened throughout the season, give the coaches a little time to think through what the next steps are for the playoff. So there'll be 2 weeks before the first round, and then we go and step through the rounds there. So the biggest break is right there.
From the 7th to the 21st.
Right.
Okay.
The 2 weeks that we have. That was very deliberate by the commissioners to look out for our student athletes, their health and safety, to make sure that they had a chance to have a little bit of recovery time before they roll into the playoff.
We're here at Big 12 Media Day, and so it's all things Big 12. I'm curious your thoughts on this conference and what role it can play in college football moving forward.
It's amazing, the growth that the Big 12 has had. And, before I was just looking at it as a fan going, man, they're making some big moves. Now I'm like right in the thick of it, watching this happen and going, okay. I think the Big 12's growth and Commissioner Yormark has done a great job of leading the conference to being all that it can be. But, in the end, the other thing that I think for this playoff is that every conference, at least in the top four, and then that 1/5 champion has the one automatic qualifier is the conference champion. After that, it's wide open. And it's up to how well a team performs in the season, the whole body of work through their season for those next 7 teams that are going to get in. So as good as the conference is, I know all of the conferences are trying to vie for those spots and trying to get better. It's going to be really, really interesting. But I do believe the growth of the Big 12 has to be an advantage. There's some pretty powerful teams in there now, so it's going to be interesting. Automatic
bids have been a thing that have been discussed as well. Like the SEC, I'm sure every conference is like, well, we deserve the most automatic bids.
Right.
The Big Ten and the SEC are probably loudest in that conversation for good reason. But how do you balance those ideas as well in terms of which conferences deserve the automatic bids and how many do they deserve?
Well, those were discussions that people had because it was a possibility. But in the end, the commissioners settled on the format that we have now. The only automatic bids are those 5 championship teams.
Sure.
And I think one of the values that they wanted to preserve for this playoff is to value champions. And so the 4 that will the first 4 as they're ranked out will get the bye. and then the 5th champion will get ranked either wherever they fall in the seeding or number 12, whichever's higher. And that's the only thing that's automatic about this. After that, how do you perform? What's your body of work? What's your strength of schedule? How many games did you win? Head-to-head competitions, all those things that the selection committee will take into account, it's going to matter. And nobody has an advantage over anyone else.
Man, Selection Sunday for college basketball is always such a thing.
Yeah,
right.
College football's now beginning to rival that with this.
Yes, it's exciting. It's exciting. I love it.
That's a great word for it. Okay, so we're going to crown a national champion on January 20th, for those wondering. Mark your calendar, January 20th.
Right. That's
in Atlanta.
It's MLK Day. It's Inauguration Day. So everyone's going to be nice and relaxed.
Yeah. Half
the country's going to be mad because their guy didn't get inaugurated, and then we'll have the championship game to pull it all together.
Rich, what have you done here? Your life is going to be stressed.
You muted your mentions already, just in preparation.
No, I am excited. Yeah, I really am. Yeah. It's going to be like to come in now. Of all the times in history that I could have got hired to do this job, it's now. And I couldn't be more excited. It's going to be amazing.
Hey,
just to be a part of it.
Listen, we typically give BYU Sports Nation karma to all of our guests for different challenges they face. We're giving you some BYUSN karma.
Let me I got to put something out here. So I played football at the Air Force Academy.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay, you know all about BYU.
I know more about BYU than I ever wanted to. When I was a senior, our team was 12-1.
85?
Yes.
You were on the 85 Air Force team.
I have a picture of me sacking Robbie Bosco.
Let's go.
That was in Sports Illustrated.
Rich.
Hey, there you go.
However, that was our one loss.
You lost that game.
That was, and I look at the picture with a little bit of pride, and then my heart it's like another knife in the picture.
Legendary Fisher DeBerry team.
Yes, that's my coach. That's my coach.
Legendary team.
Yes.
People don't know how good Air Force was in the 80s.
We were.
So good.
So if the playoff had been in existence then, we'd have been in the playoff.
Absolutely.
We ended up ranked 5 in the UPI and 8 in the AP. We would have been in the
college football playoff.
We'd have been doing it.
So many great battles between BYU and Air Force. That's like my youth.
Yes.
Is BYU Air Force and that back and forth?
Oh, you guys were, you look back, Steve Young, Robbie Bosco, Ty Detmer after that, the history of your teams is as impressive as it is, it puts a knife in my heart because I think about one loss. We were 12-1, so I almost didn't come do this.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you did.
Oh, I am too. It's awesome.
We thank you for turning the other cheek.
Huge respect for BYU and the programs you've had, and it was always a rivalry, but a lot of respect.
Hey,
always.
The respect is mutual for what you did and what you represented as a cadet at the Air Force Academy.
No, I appreciate
Outstanding.
That. Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's always been a great testament, I think, to college football when you have those kind of rivalries. And, it's changed a little bit now.
Sure.
But those rivalries, they endure, and it makes this whole sport rich and special, and this playoff is going to take it even to another level. So,
very
exciting.
Love it.
Well said. Rich, great to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.